issues? Okay.
Already been going.
Okay, this is Fred. Everyone say hi, Fred.
Hi, Fred.
Okay, so we are going to go through the digestive system of the anatomical model. This is our lovely torso, which we will call Fred. Maybe I'll get up here so there's a little bit more room for you guys. So, this of course is the mouth, the lips, and the teeth. And when you put things into your mouth, or when you think about food, you're probably going to salivate. And your saliva comes from 3 different glands. All 3 of these glands are considered salivary glands. The first salivary gland that we're going to talk about is on the outside here. This is called the parotid. P-A-R-O-T-I-D, the parotid gland. Okay, and this is and this is on the outside of the cheek. Okay, and then there is a duct to this gland that is going to funnel that saliva to go inside of the mouth. All right. Now I'm going to take out part of his head here. All right, and we have 2 more salivary glands that I want to discuss. One is located just under the tongue. That is the sublingual gland.
Oh, there's 2 parts. Which one?
Sorry, it's this one here.
Oh.
I apologize. You know, can someone grab me a stick?
That's the salivary.
Those work out well.
Is it tiny one?
Is there like a little pointer stick?
Please.
Yeah, that'll work.
Looking for the big teacher stick.
Oh, no, that's only if you guys misbehave. Okay, so you can edit that part out. Okay, so this gland, so you have 3 salivary glands. One is the parotid, which is here on the back. Yay, parotid. All right. And then the second one here, just below the tongue, the one that's kind of more in the front, this is your sublingual, okay? Your sublingual gland. And the one that's a little bit further back is the submandibular gland. All right. Inside of the mouth, this is the oral cavity. This is your hard palate. This is the roof of your mouth, the hard palate. All right. And saliva has some enzymes which is going to help break down some parts of the food, but the more important thing is for it to moisten the food so that the food can form a bolus. Now, once you swallow, the food is going to go this way, and it's going to end up in the throat. The anatomical name for the throat is the pharynx. And the pharynx has 3 regions. The upper part of the pharynx or throat is considered the nasopharynx. And then here behind the oral cavity, we have the oropharynx. A little bit further down, we've got the laryngopharynx. Okay. So when you swallow food, it's going to go this way. And this is the epiglottis here, this blue. Okay. The epiglottis, when you swallow, is going to move to cover this airway here. This is the trachea. So it's going to cover the airway here, which is the trachea, so that food, hopefully on a good day, goes down the right way. And the food will then go down this way, which is the esophagus. Okay. Now, once we do that, we're going to take Fred apart here. This is what Fred looks like on the outside. Let's see what type of person he is on the inside. All right, so here's the... Okay. So here we have this entire region is the abdominal cavity. The top region is going to be the thoracic cavity, and the bottom region would be the abdominopelvic cavity. Here are the lungs. I'm going to take apart the lungs. Aren't they pretty? Okay. So, this is the liver. All right. The liver, when I turn it around, has these lovely structures. This big area here is the gallbladder. Okay. This area here is the gallbladder. And the gallbladder empties out into the cystic duct. The cystic duct comes straight from the gallbladder. The hepatic duct is here. Let me see, go a little bit further back. The hepatic duct is here, and that has the bile that comes from the liver. The gallbladder functions to store that bile and concentrate that bile. And both of these, the cystic duct and the hepatic duct, are going to come together and combine to form the common bile duct. Okay. All right. So this whole thing is the liver. Yay, liver. Okay. And this is the stomach. So once we can kind of like peel out the stomach here. This here, this is the cardiac sphincter. The cardiac sphincter is where the food is going to enter from the esophagus into the stomach. When it's closed, it's going to prevent acid reflux. When it's relaxed, it's going to allow the food to enter into the stomach. This region by the cardiac sphincter is going to be the cardiac region. I'm going to take this out now. And this kind of rounded area here, this whole area is the fundus. Okay. The larger area here is the body region. As the body region kind of narrows, it's going to end up being the beginning of the pyloric region, and then the pyloric region is going to end at the pyloric sphincter, which is here. Okay, so it normally goes like this. Okay, and when we take that out, this is also basically the other half of the pyloric sphincter. From the pyloric sphincter, the food or chyme at that point is going to enter into the duodenum. The duodenum is the first part of the small intestines. Okay. The small intestines receives the bile from the liver, which is here, and it also receives a bunch of pancreatic juices from the pancreas. The pancreas is this entire area here. Okay. And the pancreatic duct delivers the pancreatic juices, which are full of digestive enzymes. It delivers it through this pancreatic duct. The pancreatic duct is going to empty into this, which is the duodenum. Okay, I'm going to move. Actually, maybe I'll come back before I move this. This whole area, in kind of what used to be white, which is now kind of a dirty brown. This whole area is the small intestines. Okay. The entire area that is in gray is the large intestines. Now, I'm going to temporarily remove these so we can get into these underneath structures. Okay. All right, this is the pyloric sphincter, and it goes into the duodenum. Here you can see the inside of the duodenum. So the duodenum goes to about here. Okay. After the duodenum, it's going to go into other regions of the small intestine. And this whole area on top is called the jejunum of the small intestine, as well as this area over here is also the jejunum of the small intestine. About halfway through all of these convoluted twists and turns, this is going to end up changing its microstructure inside of the intestinal walls, and at that point it becomes the ileum. For your purposes, you just want to, the ileum is basically going to be in this area. And the reason that we say that the ileum is in that area, I'll put it back here, is because the ileum is going to be the last part of the small intestine, and that's going to empty out into the large intestine. The large intestine is here in gray. I'm going to remove this again. Okay. So here we have the ileocecal valve. This is where the chyme is going to enter from the small intestine, the ileum of the small intestine, into the large intestine. Okay. This whole area here, this first part of the large intestine is called the cecum. Right. And this green tail-like structure that is down here is your appendix. Your appendix, sometimes it's called a vestigial organ because it used to have the ability to digest cellulose. It used to have enzymes that were able to digest cellulose, and we don't use that anymore. But more recently, they found that this has an immune function and actually houses some lymphocytes, which are important for your immune function. So from the cecum, then the chyme from the stomach and from the small intestines is going to go up this way. Since it's going up at this area, this is called the ascending colon because it's going upward. From the ascending colon, it's then going to travel transversely, so it's going to go up the ascending colon and then across the transverse colon. So this entire area is the transverse colon. For fun, I'm just going to remove this again so we can see things a little bit more easily. So once it gets here, now it's going to go downward, and this is now the descending colon. Once it gets to about this area, it's going to make kind of an S shape. That's where it gets its name, the sigmoid colon. So the sigmoid colon starts around here. It also has a little loopy thing around here. On the back, you can see it a little bit more clearly. So this area would be the sigmoid colon. The rectum is going to start, remember rectum, rectus, all of those words mean straight. And it does go off at an angle, but the rectum starts from about here and ends around here at the sigmoid colon. And on the front side, the same type of thing. So this is the rectum, and then the sigmoid colon. This brown area here, I think it's a kind of an interesting thing that they chose brown for the color. You might think of why. But this is the anal canal. Okay, it's actually not the anus, it's the anal canal. The anus would be just below this, and it would be a muscular region. And the anus is or the anal sphincter is the passageway to let your poop out. So the entire large intestine has the function to be able to form your fecal matter. And I believe that is it. Oh, one more thing. This one does not open, but there's one more feature inside of the stomach that if I were to be able to open it, you have large folds inside of here. Those are the rugae. Okay, those large inside of there. Okay, the end. All right, so now let's